Once upon a time, far beneath the sparkling waves of the deep blue ocean, there existed a magnificent underwater kingdom. Crystal palaces made of coral and pearls rose from the sea floor. Gardens of colourful sea flowers swayed in the gentle currents. And schools of bright fish swam through forests of emerald seaweed. In the grandest palace of all lived the Sea King. A wise old merman with a long silver beard and a crown of precious shells. He ruled the ocean kingdom with kindness and wisdom. The Sea King had 6 beautiful mermaid daughters, but the youngest was the loveliest of all. She had skin as smooth as a rose petal, eyes as blue as the deepest ocean, and a voice so sweet that all the sea creatures would stop to listen when she sang. The Little Mermaid was different from her sisters. While they loved to play with their treasures from sunken ships and decorate their gardens with pretty shells, she spent her time collecting anything that came from the world above the waves. Her most precious possession was a white marble statue of a handsome young man that had sunk to the ocean floor from a wrecked ship.
Tell me more about the human world, Grandmother.
The world above is filled with wonders, my dear.
Like what?
The Little Mermaid would beg the Sea King's mother, who had seen many things in her long life.
Humans walk on 2 legs instead of swimming with tails.
Wow, yeah.
They have kingdoms on land with green forests, tall mountains, bathed in warm sunlight, and flowers that smell sweeter than anything in the sea.
But remember, dear child, mermaids can only visit the surface when they turn 15 years old.
The Little Mermaid dreamed of the day she would be old enough to see the world above. She waited more impatiently than any of her sisters, counting the days and months until her 15th birthday. Finally, that magical day arrived. As the sun set, painting the sky pink and gold, the Little Mermaid swam up through the water until her head broke through the surface for the very first time.
Oh, how beautiful! Beautiful!
She saw a magnificent ship nearby, decorated with colourful flags and glowing lanterns. Music and laughter floated across the water. Swimming closer, the Little Mermaid peeked through a window and saw many people celebrating. In the centre of the celebration stood a handsome young prince with kind eyes and a warm smile. It was his birthday, and the party was in his honour. The Little Mermaid watched, enchanted. The prince looked exactly like her beloved marble statue. Her heart fluttered with a strange new feeling. She was falling in love. Suddenly, dark clouds rolled across the sky. Thunder boomed, lightning flashed, and fierce waves began tossing the ship like a toy. A terrible storm had arrived. The Little Mermaid watched in horror as a huge wave crashed over the ship, breaking it into pieces. Sailors were thrown into the churning water, and she saw the prince sink beneath the waves. Without hesitation, the brave Little Mermaid dove deep and found the prince, unconscious and drowning. She wrapped her arms around him and swam with all her strength, keeping his head above water until the storm passed.
Hold on, Prince. The storm is passing. We're almost
As
safe.
dawn broke, she brought him to the shore near his palace and laid him gently on the sand. The little mermaid hid behind some rocks as people from the palace came running. A young girl found the prince and called for help. As the prince opened his eyes, he saw the girl's face and smiled, thinking she had saved him. The little mermaid's heart ached, but she dove back into the sea, knowing a mermaid and a human could never be together. Back in her underwater palace, the little mermaid grew sadder each day. She could think of nothing but the prince and the world above the waves. Finally, she made a dangerous decision. She would visit the sea witch, who lived in the darkest, scariest part of the ocean. The sea witch's home was surrounded by a forest of reaching, grabbing sea plants and the bones of unfortunate creatures. The witch herself was frightening, with cold eyes and a voice like grinding stones.
I know why you've come. You want to become human so the prince will love you. I can give you legs, but it will cost you greatly.
Anything! What do you want?
Your voice. I will take your beautiful singing voice as payment. You will have legs, but every step will feel like walking on sharp knives. And remember, if the prince marries another, your heart will break and you will turn into sea foam and disappear forever. But if he falls in love with you and marries you, you will gain a human soul and live happily.
The little mermaid thought of the prince's kind face.
I accept.
The sea witch prepared a magical potion that glowed with an eerie green light.
Drink this on the shore before sunrise.
Then she reached out and touched the little mermaid's throat. Instantly, the little mermaid's voice was gone, stolen away. With the potion clutched in her hand, the little mermaid swam to the surface one last time, her heart pounding. She pulled herself onto the beach near the prince's palace and drank the burning potion. Immediately, she felt as if a sword was cutting through her body. Everything went dark, and she fainted. When she awoke, the sun was shining, and standing over her was the prince himself. But instead of her beautiful tail, she now had 2 human legs. She tried to speak, to tell him she was the one who had saved him, but no words came out. She was mute.
Don't be afraid. You look lost. Come, you can stay at the palace.
Though every step hurt terribly, just as the witch had warned, the little mermaid smiled and walked beside the prince. She became his constant companion, riding horses with him, walking through gardens, and sitting by his side during meals. Though she couldn't speak or sing, her expressive eyes and graceful dancing made the prince adore her company.
You remind me of someone. Once, I nearly drowned in a storm. A beautiful girl with a lovely voice saved me and brought me to shore. I've been searching for her ever since, hoping to thank her and perhaps marry her, but I've never found her.
The little mermaid's heart ached. She wanted to cry out. Days turned into weeks, and the little mermaid hoped the prince would fall in love with her, even without knowing the truth. But one day, terrible news arrived. The prince's parents had arranged for him to marry a princess from a neighboring kingdom.
I don't want to marry a stranger, but I must do my duty.
When the prince finally met his bride-to-be, He gasped in recognition.
You're the girl who found me on the beach after the storm! You're the one who saved me!
Of course, it wasn't true. The princess had only found him after the little mermaid had brought him to shore. But the prince believed it with all his heart.
I will marry you gladly!
The little mermaid felt her heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. The wedding was planned for the very next day. That night, as the little mermaid stood on the ship where the wedding would take place, her sisters appeared in the waves below. Their beautiful long hair was gone. They had cut it all off.
We gave our hair to the sea witch. She gave us this magical knife. It's our only chance. Before sunrise, you must plunge it into the prince's heart. There is no other way. When his blood touches your feet, you'll become a mermaid again and can return home to us.
The little mermaid took the knife with trembling hands. She crept to the prince's cabin where he slept peacefully beside his new bride. She raised the knife, but as she looked at his kind, gentle face, she knew she could never hurt him. She loved him too much. Instead, the little mermaid threw the knife into the sea, took one last look at the prince, and jumped into the ocean. She expected to dissolve into sea foam, but something miraculous happened. She felt herself lifting into the air, light as a feather. All around her were beautiful, translucent spirits glowing with soft light.
Welcome, dear sister. You are now a daughter of the air. Because you loved so selflessly and chose kindness over saving yourself. You have earned an immortal soul. Now you will do good deeds in the world. And after 300 years, you will enter the kingdom of heaven.
The little mermaid looked down at the ship one last time. The prince stood on the deck, looking sadly at the wave, feeling mysteriously that he had lost something precious without knowing what. With a heart full of hope and love, the little mermaid rose into the sky with her new sisters, ready to begin her new life. She had given up everything for love, and though her sacrifice had brought her pain, it had also brought her something even more precious, an eternal soul and the joy of selfless love.